Welcome to my video series on Python beginners. In this video series, we'll discuss about Python tools which you can use in your Python projects to create more structured and meaningful projects. This series does not teaches you Python programming, but it teaches you the tools through which you can manage your Python projects. Even if you are new to Python projects or just started using Python in your projects, you should be able to understand these concepts easily. As you all know, Python is a very powerful and very dynamic language. It has huge user community and there are a lot of Python packages available to help you to focus just on the business logic and forget about the internal complexity of how they are managed. Get started. In this particular video, we'll see how you can manage your Python environments using two approaches. First, using Docker containers. Second, using virtual environments. Using Docker container. Okay, so what problem we are trying to solve here? Suppose you want to work on a Python project with Python version suppose 3, but you do not want to install or upgrade Python on your machine. Second, you want to use and throw environment where you are just checking a Python code. For example, to check its compatibility with a certain Python version. For this, you do not want to install multiple Python versions on your machine and its required dependencies. Third, you are learning Python using Python for experimental purposes. So, the answer to all these problems is using Docker container. If you are new to Docker world, don't worry. We'll cover Docker in our future video series. For now, install Docker by visiting the website www.docker.com. Docker is supported on Windows, Linux and Mac. Okay. So I have installed Docker on my machine. What next? Let's switch to my terminal. Let's see which Docker version I'm using. As you can see, I'm using Docker version 17.06 Community Edition. First, let's look at my base machine and check the Python version. Switch to a new terminal and let's see Python version, and as you can see, I'm using Python version 2.7. Let's see. As you can see, in my lesson 1, I have a file main.py. Let's run this main.py using my default Python. As you can see, it's giving me a message that you are using Python version 2.7. Now, let's try to achieve the same goal using Docker containers. I'll switch back to my old terminal and I'll use this command docker run. So what does this command do? This command basically runs a Docker container. I'm naming my Docker container as my Python app. I'm also mounting a volume, which is nothing but my current working directory, to the root of this container. This container will be running from an image Python 3. If you don't have Python 3 image on your host machine, this command will basically download Python 3 from Docker Hub and it will install this image on your machine. I am also mounting a process bin bash to it. As you can see, I already had a Python 3 image on my machine. So it just logged in to the bin bash of this container. Let's see what does this container has. Okay, let's navigate to the root of this folder of this container and see. As you can see, since I mounted my current directory, which is nothing but lesson 1, 2, 3 to my Docker container, and all these 3 lessons are available in my Docker container. Now let's go inside the lesson and see the contents of it. These are the same contents which are there on my host machine. Now let's run the same program using default Python. As you can see, it is printing me that I am using Python version 3.6.1. I can also see Python version on this machine, which is nothing but 3.6.1. As you can see, I didn't have Python 3.6.1 on my machine, on my host machine. But since I have started a container with Python 3, so I can use Python 3 in my virtual environment. That's it. Hello friends, welcome back to my first tutorial, Python Beginners Lesson 1, Managing Python Environments. We earlier saw how Docker containers can be used to manage your Python environments. In this section, we'll see how you can use Python virtual environments to manage your Python project environments and its dependencies. Virtual environment is a tool to keep the dependencies required by different projects in a separate place by creating virtual environment for them. So let's get started. So what problem we are trying to address here? Typical way of working on a Python project is to install all the required packages using pip. But what does the default installation does? Let's see. We'll switch back to terminal, and as you can see, I'm using the command which Python, it shows me where the Python is installed. Now if I try to install a package, let's say PyTest. PyTest is a framework for testing. Let's install PyTest using pip. So what it does, it collects PyTest and it tries to install PyTest using my default location, which is libraries Python 2.7 side packages, and I get this error, OS error, permission denied. This is because I don't have access. I'm not logged in as a admin user and I don't have access to my system libraries. So in order to bypass this problem, we generally switch to a super user who has the access to modify these libraries, or we can use Python virtual environments. Second problem, as you can see, the environments is not clean for the project. That is, if you're working on multiple projects, you have bunch of Python packages installed at the same location. So if I'm using PyTest version X, and for some projects I'm using PyTest version Y, so both of them will be installed on the same location. Another problem is if you try to freeze your requirements for the current project. The requirements generated will be list of all Python packages installed at your default location. Another problem, if multiple projects require different version of a Python package, you are in trouble. And the last one we have already discussed, if you are not logged in as an admin, to install a package you have to switch to a user with admin access, as pip installs Python packages in your system libraries. So what is the solution to all these problems? The solution is using virtual environments. So let's see how does it do. So earlier we tried to install PyTest on my base machine. So let's drop this approach and use Python virtual environments. You can follow the instructions on my site to install virtual environment. The first command we use is pip install virtual environments. So to install the virtual environments, only first time you have to use a super user. All other packages will be installed without using a super user. Okay, so I've successfully installed virtual environment on my machine, and now Let's see my current working directory, and that is Python beginners, and here I'll create one virtual environment. To create a virtual environment, you use virtualenv and the name of the environment. It can be anything, so let's name it venv. So as you can see, a virtual environment has been created. Oh, it's been creating, and yeah, it's created now, and but it's still not active. To activate it, we have to follow this instruction. We have to source it. So this is the command. This is the name of the virtual environment. Inside this you have a bin directory, and inside this you have a script activate to activate the virtual environment. Now as you can see, the prompt says venv. This is the name of my virtual environment. Now if I try to install any of the dependencies, say pytest, install pytest, so it won't be installed on my machine. It will be installed on this virtual environment. As you can see, this time it didn't ask me for a super user access, as this is not installing anything on my host machine. It is installing all these required packages in the virtual environment. That's cool. So now if I list all the required dependencies, which I can do with the command pfreeze-list, it shows that I have Py and pytest 313. Now to deactivate the Python virtual environment, you just type the command wait. So you'll be out of your Python virtual environment, and now if I list the dependencies on my machine, says I have XYZ Python packages installed on my host machine, right? So again, Python virtual environment is not mixing with your host machine packages, and it's installed in a separate location, and this is great for working with different kind of Python projects. Thank you for watching this video. In the next video, we'll cover managing virtual environments through PyCharm and packaging required dependencies in requirement file. You can find the link of the next part along with my GitHub repo URL in the description of this video. Click like and subscribe to my channel to watch my further video series. Happy coding. Bye bye.